a human being is a worker is an old idea.
Yes.
A human being has a worker is a different object, right?
Yes.
So if you think about object-oriented programming as a paradigm, a human being has a worker and a human being has a soul. We're talking about the fact that for a period of time, the worker that a human being has was in a position to feed the soul that a human being has. However, we have two separate claims on the value in society. One is as a worker and the other is as a soul. And the soul needs sustenance, it needs dignity, it needs meaning, it needs purpose. As long as your means of support is not highly repetitive, I think you have a while to go before you need to start worrying. But if what you do is highly repetitive and it's not terribly generative, you are in the crosshairs of for loops and while loops. And that's what computers excel at, repetitive behavior. And when I say repetitive, I may mean things that have never happened through combinatorial possibilities. But as long as it has a looped characteristic to it, you're in trouble. We are seeing a massive push towards socialism because capitalists are slow to address the fact that a worker may not be able to make claims. A relatively undistinguished median member of our society still needs to reproduce, needs to dignity. And when capitalism abandons the median individual or the bottom tenth or whatever it's going to do, it's flirting with revolution. And what concerns me is that the capitalists aren't sufficiently capitalistic to understand this. You really want to court authoritarian control in our society because you can't see that people may not be able to defend themselves in the marketplace because the marginal product of their labor is too low to feed their dignity as a soul. My complaint is, first of all, not with the socialists, but with the capitalists, which is you guys are being idiots. You're courting revolution by continuing to harp on the same old ideas that, well, try harder, bootstrap yourself. Yeah, to an extent that works, to an extent. But we are clearly headed in a place that there's nothing that ties together our need to contribute and our need to consume. And that may not be provided by capitalism because it may have been a temporary phenomenon. I think people are late getting the wake-up call, and we would be doing a better job saving capitalism from itself because I don't want this done under authoritarian control. And the more we insist that everybody who's not thriving in our society during their reproductive years in order to have a family is failing at a personal level. I mean, what a disgusting thing that we're saying. What a horrible message. Who the hell have we become that we've so bought into the Chicago model that we can't see the humanity that we're destroying in that process? And I hate the thought of communism. I really do. My family has flirted with it in decades past. It's a wrong, bad idea. But we are going to need to figure out how to make sure that those souls are nourished and respected. And capitalism better have an answer. And I'm betting on capitalism, but I got to tell you, I'm pretty disappointed with my team. Hyper-capitalism is going to have to be coupled to hyper-socialism. You need to allow the most productive people to create wonders. And you got to stop bogging them down with all of these extra nice requirements. Nice is dead. Good has a future. Nice doesn't have a future because nice ends up with gulags. Try to recognize that if you're failing, if things aren't where you want them to be and you're struggling and you're trying to figure out what you're doing wrong, what you could do, it's not necessarily all your fault. We are in a global situation. I have not met the people who are honest, kind, good, successful. Nobody that I've met is checking all the boxes. Nobody's getting all 10s. So I just think that's an important message that doesn't get pushed out enough. Either people want to hold society responsible for their failures, which is not reasonable. You have to struggle, you have to try. Or they want to say you're 100% responsible for your failures, which is total nonsense.